let me get this shared out, and I will be right back. Okay, one more. Gotta do this. I'm sorry, I just have to. Okay, so I'm back. Why I don't, okay, okay, here we go. All right, now we're back. I suppose I could wait till people come in. There's probably already somebody here. It's just the YouTube doesn't like to have everything look current. I don't know, I guess. Anyway, I want to talk a little bit about the succession at Disney. So an article came out in Deadline last weekend and talked about Bob Iger and the fact that now the Disney board is thinking about doing a duo CEO, and the names they dropped, at least that were dropped in the article, are Dana Walden, which and Josh D'Amaro. I don't know anything about Josh D'Amaro, but I do know Dana Walden. I think was one of the women tied to the smear campaign against Iger last year, a year ago, August. Remember that? In the New York Times, big smear campaign. Hey, 007, good morning. So anyway, they should be close to announcing it in January. I'm gonna say close because we're talking about, the Walt Disney Company, and God knows what is really going on there. So there's that. And what's interesting to me is that, as you remember, Jeff Snyder of the Insider, he used to work with Collider. Basically said that on the John Rocha show, and I did a report on this. There's an upload that Kennedy is basically a lame duck. That somebody's already running Lucasfilm, and as you guys know, and I don't give a fuck who thinks I'm wrong here. It's probably Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni running the company. All right. She, I think pretty much lied in her, look, you're not talking about someone who's got her marbles in a row, her ducks in a row, as it were. She lied through her teeth, I think, during that interview. And the reason why I think that is because Matt Bellany, whom she called a liar, and so did Mike Fleming, the reporter, and Kennedy's PR guy called him a liar, basically said she's out, she's leaving. They just, they're putting together succession. She doesn't have anything to do with that. I mean, I honestly don't think after 2023 that Bob Iger would let her near anything that has to do with Lucasfilm. I mean, he gave her the accolade so she could understand just how much people hate everything that she put together. All right, I think the accolade was basically her zip tie around her ankles, right? Just it, and the fact that, this, I just saw this, I want to report it. Caroline Reed said that The Rise of Skywalker came in under budget. It barely made $1 billion, and they reported that it cost $600 million to make. How is, I'm like, what? That's bullshit too. Yeah, that's, I stopped taking her seriously when she started quoting Valiant Renegade. There you go on that one. What else? So there's that. And what I'm hoping and what we have to pray for, and I do mean that, is Disney makes an announcement about what's going on at Lucasfilm, because there's nothing out there for people to talk about that's positive. And, talk about Jeremy Allen White being, doing the voice of Rhoda the Hutt, and apparently Rhoda and Mando go on some sort of adventure together. There was I think it was an IGN article talk about this interview that he had. I don't know. This is going to be very interesting. The lead up to Mando and Grogu. I really think so. But as far as like Disney, I'm really hoping that if they go this co-CEO route, that Dana Walden isn't anywhere near the corner office. The reason why I say that is because she's an ally of Kathleen Kennedy's. I think she's probably the only person on the executive side that probably thinks Kennedy did a wonderful job. I don't trust her. I don't think anybody should trust her. That's just me. All right, that's just me. So there's that, the co-CEO. And really, how come suddenly it's a co-CEO thing? And like, I could see you going to a co-presidency, co-leadership at Lucasfilm with John and Dave running the creative parts, and John just overseeing everything. That would work. That works. I mean, it's obviously working for the DCU, with James Gunn and company. But Disney, it's to me, it's just stupid. I mean, now their shares are, I just looked, it's $111 right now. And it ended Friday trading at 110. So it's up, but I think it was like a month ago, it was up over $122. So they've lost, again, money. And, it's like, being over $100 a share is probably where they need to be. But I don't really look at their shares being as stable as they could be because of different things. And this whole, who's going to be the CEO? Why haven't they said anything? I think people are very, traders are very cautious with that. And I don't blame them. And if Dana Walden is named co-CEO of Disney, I would sell my shares. I would sell them. I mean, doesn't make any sense at all to me. Anyway, let's talk about George Lucas. So George Lucas and his wife were interviewed by the Wall Street Journal magazine, and the interview came out this weekend. I watched Star Wars Theory about it. This is my take. George, I think for his own good, is kind of stepping a little bit back from Star Wars. He has been on the set of Mando. He has been, I think, on the set of the first Ahsoka. Dave talks to him all the time. Look at what he said is he's got a gallery in the museum, because that's what the interview was, for Star Wars, and that's by rights. That's his baby. The take that Star Wars Theory 2 took is, why are you so negative? There are people running the company. He's obviously been talking to them. Just because he's not there day to day, he's got to get the museum up and running. So that's what he's doing. And in fact, he fired the woke black woman that was actually doing the job he's doing now. So, you know, he got an activist. He didn't realize she was an activist, and he's like, no, get out of here. And when George says, you're gone, you're gone. I mean, he doesn't suffer fools. So I'm looking at the interview going, okay, but you can see his influence at least. Hey, T.S. Wade, how you doing? You can see his influence in Mando and Grogu. You can see it definitely in episode 16 of Star Wars of The Mandalorian. You can see his influence in Ahsoka. Second. So really, you know, there's not a lot to say for this, and it's just look. Uploads are slower now because there's nothing to talk about. Sparrow has been quiet. Everybody's, from what they said, everybody's pretty much like content and happy now. You know, you've got Pablo Hidalgo not really saying a whole lot about politics. And what he does is he's very quiet about it from what I've been able to garner from my friend who's my spy on Blue Skies. Oh, by the way, Blue Skies got invaded by Donald Trump, which is hysterically funny. I mean, you know, and their whole No Kings protest, I doubt 2 million people showed up. They went from saying they had 7 million, everyone said that's an inflated number, to 2 million. And that might be an inflated number. So really, it was a flop. All that money wasted. You know, why don't you all go get a hobby? Okay, go get a hobby. And, you know, so there's that. So I think people at Lucasfilm are watching themselves very carefully right now because obviously there's a new boss in charge, and he is not exactly a tolerant person for free range bullshit. And what I call Pablo's meanderings into politics and Ryan Johnson's and all the rest of that, and attacking the fans, free range bullshit, right? What is that? What Lord Cornwallis say to Taddington in the movie The Patriot? You serve me, and the manner in which you serve me reflects upon me, right? And there you go. So they've got a lot of people there that have served Disney and Lucasfilm badly. They've represented themselves badly. They represented the company badly. Just, they have not done what they should have been doing. They did not. I mean, look, go back and look at some of the stuff that was posted. I heard people have receipts, right? It was like watching a bunch of high schoolers. It truly was. It was like Pablo and company were in high school again, and they were acting like teenagers. The way they were mocking fans who were upset, the way they were treating people, the fact that instead of just going, okay, Gina Carano doesn't agree with us on this stuff, but she's fine, we like her, they made goddamn sure they got her fired, right? And now she's back. And from what I've heard, you know, she could be in Mando and Grogu. Okay, I mean, John was filming pickups. And there's another thing I want to talk about all of this too. It's just really interesting to me watching all this going on and going, why do we have to still talk about things from this point of view of speculation? We need transparency. And I really, really think it would help Bob Iger on the way out the door if the company was a little more transparent on what was going on with Marvel and Lucasfilm out there and open. You know, like the question, you guys, all right, go get back in your way, way back machine. When Marvel laid off a bunch of people, Disney Animation laid off a bunch of people, Walt Disney Studios, yet Lucasfilm, there was no reporting. Were people laid off? Who were the people that were laid off? We would like to know. And they were extremely transparent about everything but Lucasfilm. And I think right now it's time for these people to start telling us what's really going on, right? Because again, I've always said this, and I always will. It's you know kind of sad that they won't take the narrative and twist it and turn it back to positive stuff. And they can do that easily by making an announcement. Yes, Kathleen Kennedy is leaving October 31st, November 30th, 1st of January. It doesn't matter, just when. And these are the people that are taking over. That's all they have to do, right? Because the people that are going after Lucasfilm, they don't care about Star Wars. They don't care about any of this stuff. They just care about making money. They're not fans even. I mean, Gary Beekler's not a fan. He's a superhero freak. Might as well call himself a pagan. You know, so it's like, why don't you make the announcement? Right? Why don't you go, we are announcing that Kathleen Kennedy is leaving on this date, and she has been working, this is a lie, but they're gonna lie, she has been, quote, working, quote, with the people taking over for her. That would be Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni. This is what I speculate. She told Mike Fleming at Deadline that she was working with Bob Iger and the Disney executives to set up her succession. I don't believe a fucking word. I don't believe a word she said. I do not believe a word she said. The reason why I don't believe a word she said is because on one hand, she says she's not leaving. And on the other hand, she says she's leaving, right? She accused Matt Bellany of saying she was retiring from making movies. He didn't say that. No one gives a shit if she makes movies with her husband. Good, go. I don't care about dinosaurs anyway. Run along, go, Rouse, scram. Shoot, Kathy, shoot. You know, so it was that interview from February of this year was the most convoluted, insane thing I've ever read in my life. And I used to have to talk to Nancy Pelosi. Do you know what that was like? First off, she thought she's better than everybody. And second of all, she'd say the most unhinged, bizarre things. And it's like, what are you talking about? So, you know, I'm like, anyway. So, yeah, I mean, is she working on Succession? No, she's not. Is she overseeing, you know, let's say she's overseeing John and Dave? I don't think Jon Favreau would want her input. Not after what she pulled behind his back during the making of Boba Fett. And look, I think he made mistakes. I do agree with Tamara Morrison that Boba Fett talked too much in that show. Okay? But there you go. Okay, that's what you've got. Other than that, I thought the show was fine. I thought it was entertaining. And I've actually watched it over again. And there are some parts, you know, the Skittles Bikers gang, it's like, what? But, you know, I mean, if that's the only, complaint I can really come up with, that's fine. We got to see Cad Bane in live action. That was pretty cool. So there you go. What else? So we talked about George. We talked about Bob Iger and the succession. I don't really want to make a prediction about when we're going to hear about anything. Again, Kennedy is leaving sometime soon. I don't know when, but it's going to be between now and the end of the year. All right, we'll just say that. Who will be going with her? Hopefully, this is my thing. Why do people who purposely made it their mission in life to attack the fans, like Pablo, his wife, why are they still working at Lucasfilm? Unless, he's just working out his contract. I mean, it's like, I'm kind of like, pay it off and get rid of him. Or make an announcement so people know he's leaving. Again, the more transparency Disney could give Lucasfilm about what's really going on, the more the fans would be necessarily heartened, and it would blunt the bullshit from the black pills. Okay, and here's the thing. I think the big channels have learned how to use fear, just like the left does. The left makes people so scared of a cold virus that they got everybody to lock down, hide in their houses. They're pretty fucking talented. The black pills have made everybody so afraid of Kathleen Kennedy that even as we're watching her leave, she's not really gone. I mean, it's like she's gone. Okay? And then they'll just turn their obnoxious, half-assed reporting on Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni because they have to make money somehow. And again, most of these people are not fans of Star Wars. Okay? Most of them are not. And the ones who are Star Wars fans are so specific that they can't just enjoy a good thing when they get it. Like The Mandalorian. Couldn't enjoy that. Like Luke's moment in episode 16. Couldn't enjoy that. Because, they've got the big cancer tumor called the sequel trilogy. And they still keep saying that the Rey movie's happening. Again, cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching. Super chats, money, there you go. Rey movie is never happening. It's not happening. It is literally the last thing anybody wants to see. And Disney knows that. I mean, look, let's have a conversation about merchandise. You walk in to a Target and you look for the Star Wars stuff. They took the overhead, those big things that said Star Wars, they took that stuff down. And the Target block for Star Wars is that big. And all they have is like lightsabers and Vader masks. That's it. I'm like, okay, what's going on here? What's going on here is that Star Wars merchandise right now is not moving like it should because of what Kennedy did. Her piss poor decision making, right? Now, the people that work at Lucasfilm, Pablo and his wife, can sit there and chant how great whatever did, but it didn't. The reality is, your average leftist is so disconnected from the market, from how money is made, profit and loss, that they can look at something and not see the reality. They can look at, the rise of Palpatine and, insist to everybody it made money when it didn't. Like, come on. Come on. $600 million. They had to literally, it sounds to me, refilm the whole fucking thing. Because whatever Abrams put out there, Kennedy literally had a baby elephant fit. I mean, lost her shit. So they had to refilm. They were filming The Rise of Skywalker all the way up to 2 weeks before the movie dropped. Okay, 2 weeks. Not good. Not good at all. All right. This is part of the problem is Disney thinking they could turn it into a Marvel type cash cow. The other problem is the discount filmmakers and the has-been storytellers and the woke assholes they included into making the three sequel trilogy movies, and of course, Soy-Lo, a Soy War story. So all of that leads up to the lack of merchandise being sold. If you noticed, Hasbro didn't make any new Rey figures because they never got any word of what she was going to be wearing in The Rise of Palpatine because the story kept changing. So we got very little merch from that anyway. And it, you kind of look at it and go, why do we have to play nice with the people that did this? Why can't we just be blunt and say, you're all fired. You're fired. I really don't understand the mentality around allowing these people to get away with that, at least publicly. I don't understand why Lucasfilm's cockroach population gets away with things publicly. Yeah, modesty is right. You're right. Yeah, you're right. It didn't get any because they never got any idea what was going to be in the movie. It was, and the people that made it, Kathleen Kennedy, J.J. Abrams is really the only person that had to pay for it. Kennedy has not, at least in a way that I think someone who failed so hugely should have had to pay for it. Being let go, publicly having to announce her resignation from Lucasfilm. She didn't even have to do that after Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny failed. And she had a chance to make a really good movie. And she failed. Why? Because she cannot figure out how to tell a story. There's a reason why Steven Spielberg said she's really good at making coffee. And she's also really good at interrupting people. How about instead of ending up with the girl, he ends up with the dog? Shit like that. That's what we got from her. Standing on her own, Miss Independent. And the fact that she tells people she's the first female president of a movie studio is unbelievably dishonest. The French lady, whose last name I can never remember, over 100 years ago, this woman came from France. She was married to a filmmaker. She had worked for a studio in France. They started a studio in Fort Lee, New Jersey, which is where Hollywood began. And then her husband moves out to California. She stays back. And then after they get divorced, she goes to California after he dies and runs the studio. Okay, then you've got other women out there, but I'll give you names that we all know. Lucille Ball got Desilu Studios in her divorce with Desi Arnaz. She ran Desilu by herself. She, of course, had great advisors, but she was also a great administrator. And she knew a good thing when she saw it. We would not have Mission Impossible or Star Trek without her saying, I think we should do this. Then, of course, there's Sherry Lansing, right? Who ran Paramount. And Dawn Steele was in that group of women who did huge things. So those two women are contemporaries of Kennedy. And they were far more successful. Fatal Attraction, other movies that were huge. And, you know, Kennedy really can't stand up and say she did anything of the equal. You know, she can sit there and chant loudly, you know, The Force Awakens made over $2 billion. So what? We never got what we wanted. It was poorly written, bunch of nostalgia pieces that, and then you cut the legs out from under the fans by breaking up Han and Leia, having their son, the ugly duckling, kill Han for no reason at all. You know, I call it daddy hate porn, because that's what it is. I mean, you look at the movie and go, what the fuck is this about? And I suddenly realize, these people hate George Lucas. There's the only reason why this movie even exists is because they hate George Lucas. They have to. There's no other reason. There's no excuse for this. You know, so I kind of go, you know, I don't know what to say. You know, you kind of go, I really am speechless at all at this, and the fact that no one that was involved with these except for J.J. Abrams got thrown under the bus. And it wasn't Disney that threw J.J. Abrams under the bus. It was David Zaslav at Warner Brothers Discovery, not Bob Iger. Okay, so it's like, when is justice going to be served? Right? When, Mr. Iger, you're leaving around, I don't know, sometime in January, could you at least give us something about Lucasfilm that is positive beyond a Mandalorian poster and teaser trailer for the movie? You know, would be nice. Would be the kind thing to do. They, again, are so distracted and distanced from the reality of what's going on out there in the fandom that they couldn't be bothered to address the problems. You know, thanks, Cross. You know, they couldn't be bothered to address what's going on publicly because they're terrified about their shares, terrified about what the board will say. The board hired Kennedy. That's who hired her. Why should the board hide behind their desks, afraid if she fucks up of going, she's gone, she's done, we fired her? I don't get it. I never will. All right. But, you know, we may get a co-CEO for Disney. I'm not really looking forward to it. George, when George in that Wall Street Journal article talked about Star Wars, I didn't get the feeling, I didn't get a bad feeling about it. All right, again, let's reiterate. he fired the director of the museum because she was a black woke woman who was not doing what she should have been doing. Probably excluding, you know, white men from the film things and not cataloging things. Whatever. Whatever these trampy activist bitches do. And he fired her. You know, he doesn't suffer fools. So he is busy with his museum, and, you know, he put Star Wars in there. He almost didn't do it, apparently. At least, I gotta read the article. Maybe if someone reads the article or has it, they can send it to me. I quit. I used to have a Wall Street Journal subscription, and I quit because there wasn't any news in it. There wasn't anything I wanted to read. Okay. So there's that. And then, of course, you know, there isn't really a lot to talk about concerning Star Wars and Lucasfilm. And, you know, what I think is going on, you know, Jeff Snyder of the Insider said she's a lame duck. Here's the deal. Yeah, if you do that, let me know. Cross. I think my email address is on the channel. You know, I kind of look at it and go, this is what's going on. If she's a lame duck, and Jeff Snyder is a very nice guy, okay? I like him and I like Matt Bellany. He basically said that she's not doing anything in Lucasfilm. So I look at what she said in February, look at what Bellany said, and then look at what Snyder added recently, and I'm pretty sure that she has not been hands-on at Lucasfilm since July of 2023. And that I'm going to run with. One of these days that is going to come out, people are going to hear about it, right? Disney can try to stop a book being written, but I don't think they'll be able to, because people have to know what the fuck was going on. I think that's the only right thing. Anyway, I gotta go. I just got a text from my husband, and I'm making an Italian meatloaf for dinner tonight, so we'll see what it's like. Anyway, I'll see you guys later. It's here on the Galaxy, and anything does come over the thing, like Karen McCarthy's lawsuit gets settled, please, I'll let you know. See you guys around the Galaxy.